I'd heard bad stories about engineers' interactions with the Dead, but what I found were a bunch of hard-working guys. A quote from Stephen Barncard about his experience producing the Grateful Dead's fifth studio album, American Beauty, in 1970. Barncard wasn't joking about the band being hard-working. American Beauty was their second studio album to release that year, with their fourth studio album, the aptly named Working Man's Dead, having been released in June after being recorded in February. Recording on American Beauty began a month after the release of Working Man's Dead in August. It's true that the band worked hard, particularly in this period, and it's true that Jerry Garcia and Robert Hunter were on a roll as a writing duo at this time. But one has to wonder if this album would have come out as quickly without the interference of their manager, Lenny Hart. Father to Grateful Dead drummer Mickey Hart, Lenny had renewed the band's contract to Warner Brothers without informing them, and left town with a great sum of money he had collected from the deal. While the whole band was dealing with the absence of Mickey's father and the mess he had left them, bassist Phil Lesh was dealing with his own absent father, who had recently passed away. It was in this time that the studio became a sort of sanctuary for him. Quote, "The magnetism of the scene at Wally Heider's recording studio made it a lot easier for me to deal with the loss of my father and my new responsibilities. Some of the best musicians around were hanging out there during that period. With Paul Cantnerand, Grace Slick from Jefferson Airplane, The Dead, Santana, Crosby, Nash, and Neil Young working there, the studio became jammer heaven. Thank the Lord for music. It's a healing force beyond words to describe," said Lesh. More than just an incomprehensible healing force, this mingling of musicians had a profound influence on the Dead and their output for American Beauty. Other Grateful Dead drummer Bill Kreutzmann credits Crosby, Stills, and Nash with teaching the Dead a great deal about harmonization, which can be heard on the album. The mingling influences of other musicians go beyond just learning about harmonization. This album also marks the first collaboration between Jerry Garcia and dog music inventor and American mandolist David Grisman. Grisman features on several tracks on this album, including today's track, a Robert Hunter penned piece that might have had a very different title if not for John Dawson of the New Riders of the Purple Sage. Hunter showed Dawson the original chorus. "I set out running, but I take my time. It looks like water, but it tastes like wine." Dawson enjoyed the whole song, but zoned in on the water and wine line, calling it a bit weak. Dawson offered up a new line, and almost instantly the song and its title were changed. The end result is a track that, while not released as a single, has become a radio staple and what Hunter once called the closest the Grateful Dead ever came to creating what may be called a classic song. That's right, we're talking the Grateful Dead's Friend of the Devil on Cover Me.
Sit out, run, but I take my time. A friend of the devil is a friend of mine. I get home before daylight, just might get some sleep tonight.
That's right, it's Cover Me, the only podcast that compares famous songs to their many cover versions to find out which one loaned me 20 bills. I'm your host, as always, The Snake, joined by my devilish co-host,
Alex Miltenberger.
Alex Miltenberger. What's going on?
Devilish things, you know.
Devilish things.
Life. I got a new laptop, so I've been messing around with it.
Yeah, we're experiencing your new laptop. It's you liking it so far?
I'm liking it so far. I traditionally haven't been a laptop person, so we'll see how it goes. Although, I mean, I think I have been potentially, but I've never really owned one that's that usable, so we'll see.
That's true, and the trouble is you always have like a small animal in your lap usually.
Yeah, that's the tough part. So I either got to like cook them under the laptop or put them on top, or you
it's you can't
tough.
Really use it as well. It's it's kind of a trade-off.
Yeah, I'm not gonna kick them off.
No, it's a beautiful animal. Yeah, exactly. Just gonna cook them slowly.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I'm working with.
Hell yeah, dude! New laptop, new you. That's what I'm always saying.
Mm-hmm.
But we got to talk about some old shit this week, Alex. Talk about some old ass Grateful Dead.
Quite old, yeah.
1970s old. That's old. As old as it gets. There's nothing older than 1970. Alex, are you a Deadhead?
Not exactly. I like them well enough, but it's not. I've never like listened to their live stuff. Like I've never listened to a Grateful Dead bootleg.
Yeah, same here.
But they're kind of a fascinating group for a number of reasons. You know, like as a jam band and as kind of, as I understand, being one of the first.
Yeah, kind of one of the first and the biggest, if not the best.
Yeah.
Like, they're huge. And this is sort of their most, I think, popular album. In the same sense.
It's the only album I knew.
Yeah. I think it's similar to, like, Let's Dance for David Bowie, right?
Where this is just
wildly
the one
popular,
yeah.
but like being a fan of American Beauty doesn't really make you a fan of the Grateful Dead.
Just because, I mean, I also feel like just being a fan of a Grateful Dead album doesn't really, in the same way, you know, like
True,
as like
yeah.
a Deadhead who's like following the band around and it's like it's all about the live show, right?
It is. That's right. So yeah, for Dead specifically, it is about the live show and it is about the jam and jam band, I think, which is what you're getting from the live experience.
Of like it's very different. And I even one time talked to a guy who I mentioned the Grateful Dead. I was like, yeah, they got some good songs, but they're all so long. I was like, what do you even mean? Like, what do you do?
Yeah.
But that's kind of the weird thing is if you listen to their albums, or at least this album, the songs aren't that long. But then you look at the live versions and they're like 3-4 times the length.
Yeah, they're huge. And we've talked about live versions that have this kind of thing. It's a lot of soloing. It's a lot of like improvisation. But yeah, this album is like the longest track is maybe 5 minutes. Yeah, 5 minutes, 17 seconds of Box of Rain. Today's track is 3.5 minutes. Like,
which is very reasonable. Oh, there's one that's 6:14, but all the same. They're
yeah, I missed that one.
It's not like they've got crazy long songs on this album. Studio album.
Exactly. This is like surprisingly digestible for the Grateful Dead. There's a quote from Robert Hunter here. He says, "It was a surprise to us, as it was to everybody else. This machine-eating, monster psychedelic band is suddenly putting out sweet, listenable material."
Yeah, I guess that's the other thing, is they're more of like a psych thing.
Mm-hmm. And this is like American folk through the lens of these guys for Grateful Dead. Which is interesting because we just talked about Jerry Garcia and David the Greaseman Grisman.
We did.
And their work on their version of Whiskey in the Jar.
Mm-hmm.
And which is a traditional folk song. So this is kind of the Grateful Dead traditional folk song. And it didn't really hit me that way until listening to it this week. Because it has kind of that similar, like, here's a verse, here's the chorus, here's a verse, here's the chorus vibe of the Whiskey in the Jar.
It does, and then it's kind of a lot of like rhyming couplets, but really focused around that chorus.
Yeah, that chorus, which is like endlessly catchy, easy to sing along to. I was playing them this morning and like throughout the week, and every version I couldn't kind of like help but at least sing along to the chorus because it has that kind of like ease to it.
It's so singable.
Yeah, it's like endlessly singable. So they hit on something here that is like he says, like Robert Hunter says in this quote, and I think this is maybe what he means by like the closest to a classic song.
Yeah.
Is this does hit traditional folk with like a Grateful Dead slant to it.
And yeah, I mean, looking at their other stuff, theoretically, like Ripple is more streamed, at least on Tidal, but I don't know about that.
Yeah, that's like, and that was the thing is even researching this week, I went to the Friend of the Devil Wikipedia page and it's short, dude.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of the info I pulled this week was from the album page and from song facts because there was not a lot on this track. It's not a single. It does get radio play, but for some reason, even when you and I brought up like doing a Grateful Dead song, it was so instant for it to be Friend of the Devil. There was like no question.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could do like they had some kind of hits, I think in the mid-late 80s, I want to say. I don't know the exact time frame, but like Touch of Grey, which is a little more poppy.
Yeah.
But this is much earlier and definitely when they were like in the thick of their stuff as the Grateful Dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even the single off of this album is Truckin', which I'm sure has a bunch of covers. Truckin'. And it has its own, it's a more like bluesy folk. Just keep trucking.
I was like Operator.
Operators. I know, I went through the album this week and I was like, fuck, these are all bangers. I like Sugar Magnolia.
Sugar Magnolia.
Yeah. It's all hippie shit, really. Box of Rain's a great track, too.
Yeah, it's also, I mean, do you remember, like, right at the end of Freaks and Geeks, the TV show that only got one season? Linda Cardellini, like, joins a group of hippies that are just following the dead around, and that's, like, 1980 or so.
That's right.
So, I mean, they're still going at that point. It's just funny.
And this is the album she, like, gets that brings her
they're like,
into
it's the greatest album ever, man.
Yeah, it's funny. Speaking of that album, the cover specifically, did you know that the second word was an ambigram?
No, I don't think so.
So if you look at it, it's both beauty and reality.
Oh. Interesting. I hadn't noticed that. Kind of too small in streaming to see. But...
Yeah, if you click on the image, I've just found this out in Tidal, you can then click it a second time and enhance.
Enhance. Yeah.
Because I read it on Wikipedia. I was like, no fucking way. And then you go and look at it, and it's like, yeah, there it is, beauty and reality. You kind of got to work with
because the L, I, and the U are kind of the same thing.
Yeah, it's really benefiting from that black line at the bottom that goes around the letters.
Yeah, definitely. It's so like almost impressionistic.
Yeah,
letters. It's like, yeah, I see that.
Yeah, I'm surprised you can't get a third word out of it.
Yeah, let's work it out. No. Beality. That's weird.
Beality. What is strange? What does it mean, dude?
What does it mean?
But yeah, this is like the hippie album. This is like the Deadhead kind of album.
Yeah.
This is, your mom probably knows this album. Like it's the album to pull from.
And the group's really interesting for a couple other reasons as well. Just like they're known for allowing bootlegging.
That's right.
And it's funny reading some of the I don't have the exact quote, but one of the band members like, we were going to ban it, but like we didn't want to be like cops. we didn't want to like enforce rules like that, so we just let them record.
Yeah, they're like, I don't know, fuck it.
So that's cool, but also, I mean, in terms of the engineering side of it, you briefly mentioned them working with engineers.
That's right.
That was apparently difficult. They had this thing, the Wall of Sound.
That's
which
right.
I always like to bring up when the Grateful Dead come up, which is very cool. Like speaker array, I guess. Just massive speaker array that was only used for a few months in 1974 because it was just like too logistically difficult to use and like expensive to carry around. But it had 604 speakers in it.
That's right.
Well, see, I'm looking at the speaker counts and they don't seem to add up, but that's okay.
Yeah, hang on,
there are different setups that were, okay.
Oh,
so there's like
about
600 or in the range of like 600, 650 speakers.
And there is a schematic on the Wikipedia page for the Grateful Dead's Wall of Sound. So you can see what it's meant to look like, and it's insane.
Yeah, it's like massive, and it's all behind the band too. So supposedly it's meant to like, where's the description? Distortion-free sound system that could also serve as its own monitoring system. So it's behind the band so they can hear themselves.
Oh shit, yeah.
And also, and they also have like setups to prevent feedback because you're playing the speakers directly into the mics.
Right.
Basically. So the mics need like additional noise cancellation essentially, so that they don't retransmit anything that the speakers are transmitting. And then that also has to get out into the audience, and apparently it had like a decent range on there and sounded really good. Of course, most people have not heard it, including myself, and it doesn't exist anymore
because it was so brief.
Yeah. So fascinating idea. I would really like to experience that in person to see if it really is all that good.
Yeah, I mean, if I had a bunch of money to put on sound equipment, I would at least renting sound equipment.
Yeah,
I would get it set up once
and just like see what happens. Supposedly, first time they used it, a bunch of the speakers just like blew out.
Fuck.
Which is funny. So I think it just needed a lot of maintenance and it needed a lot of.
Again, the setup for that would be a fucking nightmare.
The setup like took days. Like they'd have to get out there way ahead of time, and then like days to put up, days to take down, kind of thing.
Exactly, because they're a traveling band, so you couldn't fucking like do that easily. You would need to have two walls of sound, essentially one at the place you were at, and then one that was being set up at the next place as you were performing.
Yeah, which is insane.
Yeah,
it's just fascinating, very fascinating thing. But yeah, they only used it for like a few months.
Yeah, because how could they do it any longer than that? They're a very interesting band. And yeah, this setup is one reason for it. And this is it's a good song. That's all I gotta say. I like this song a lot.
Yeah, me too.
And pretty easy to interpret. It is in this way also similar, like lyrically similar to Whiskey in the Jar, which is about an outlaw character. We get the same thing here.
Right. A little more vague.
Little more vague.
Like what actually happens, but
Yeah, well, you can't really like pluck out his allegiances to certain sides of wars or what have you.
Yeah.
So it's more American in that sense, and more like this era.
He's like kind of a drifter character. And he's like, you have to assume on some level that he's drifting around and like just living.
Yeah,
you might say freely, but
yeah,
clearly,
like he talks about his worries that he's got too. And people get so obsessed with like everything I read on like Genius, and I think on some other pages, were obsessed with Reno and Utah, and about how he could end up in Utah so quickly. But I was like, there's nothing that really states the time it takes him to get to Utah, so it doesn't come up to me as being of any note.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, because he says the night. Yeah, it's just two places he was. Yeah,
it's just like two separate events.
He left Reno.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't sleep, and then got to Utah, and like, are they that far apart?
No, because apparently, and this is how everybody's like, okay, this is how you explain it. In the 1860s, briefly, Reno was of the territory of Utah.
Oh.
So even if he was just in Reno, he would still, and if he was in a cave in Reno, he would still be in a cave in Utah.
Like, I'm not saying they're close together, but Utah and Nevada are next to each other. It's across Nevada, sure.
Yeah.
It's like a day.
And like, exactly, and like, I don't think it is a matter of like, he's not like, the very next night I was in a cave in Utah, or like, it took me only 12 hours to get to Utah.
It's not based on a true story, right? Like, you could have messed up and been like, oh shit, I thought it was faster. Like, I didn't realize it took that long to get there.
Or it's simply just like, here's the next like event of note in my life.
Exactly. And that's like staying in a cave. But we'll get to all those details.
First, we got to start out with Reno. I lit out from Reno. I was trailed by 20 hounds. Didn't get to sleep that night until the morning came around.
Set out running. But
yeah, it links so easily into the chorus. I'm tempted to just run through that too. But let's talk about verse 1.
Yeah, it almost seems like a what do you call them? A refrain,
Yeah.
That kind of like, it's that amount of smoothness.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's set out, it sets into the idea of the chorus. The chorus like is a refrain. It's a neat bow that ties up the verse. It reminds you of kind of where we are in general, what the theme of this person is, a sort of person constantly on the move. What people note on this, which is maybe a coincidence, but also maybe just some good writing. So he leaves from Reno. We've already talked about Reno, where that is. Lit out, he moves quite quickly because he's trailed by 20 hounds, which is because the law is after him. But there's a song by Robert Johnson called Hellhound on My Trail.
Okay.
And Robert Johnson famously is the guitarist, the blues guitarist, that the story about him selling his soul at the crossroads for incredible blues guitar skills.
Oh,
he's
him.
That guy.
Okay.
So he would be, in a way, a friend of the devil, right?
Yeah. I guess so, because he communes with the devil at least.
At the very least, right? So it's maybe a coincidence. It's maybe a little nod to another guy from this Americana scene, right?
Yeah, it's fun to like talk about these stories as like the Americana like cinematic universe.
Yeah.
Like they all know each other because they're just wandering around whatever.
Yeah, everybody's drifting from place to place. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, basically he's running away from the city because the law is chasing him for some reason. He's running all night, so he doesn't.
That's right. He doesn't get to sleep till the morning comes around. This is a big theme, of course, because of the chorus, where he's like, hopefully I'll get to sleep tonight.
Yeah.
Because he's got troubles running from physically, he's got time constraints of running from the law and when he can do that, and then he's got other stuff on his mind, as we'll find out.
Yeah. So he may have some insomnia as well.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, we're coming in here with energy. He lit out from Reno. He's out quick. And we kind of do get to slow down in the chorus a bit. He says, set out running, but I take my time. A friend of the devil is a friend of mine. If I get home before daylight, just might get some sleep tonight.
What's he taking his time doing?
The running, I suppose.
So like he doesn't leave early enough, so it's like really close.
I think it's more like he starts off real quick, But this is maybe a little bit more like it's about the journey, not destination.
Sure.
He's like, where I'm getting is not important. And perhaps even similar to, another song we talked about, but it is the running that is the living, right? So it's like getting to a place is kind of death for this guy in the sense that he also later talks about all of these places he could be with all of these like families he's fucking established.
Yeah.
But he's consistently on the run.
Yeah. It's the life on the road.
So he's not in a hurry to settle down is what it seems like. And he's a man of mischief. A friend of the devil is a friend of mine. So he's more into getting caught up into whatever keeps him moving, basically. You talking to an Animal Crossing character right now?
That's just my notification sound, which is apparently not muted. So that's fun. There we go.
It's good sound, though. Good choice. But that's what I get from it, is that he is, like, because it's weird to be, like, set out running, but I take my time so that I, like, don't run out of breath. Like, it's just about good jogging behavior. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's weird. I mean, the song is not about musicians, but it's also about anytime musicians sing about being on the road, they're like, yeah, I can relate because they're on the road all the time, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it almost seems like that too, where it's like they're playing music all night or whatever.
Yeah, like he's like, oh, well, and that's why he can't get to sleep
and living
too.
On the road. So there's kind of like part of that like metaphor.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least that's maybe why they wanted to sing about it.
Yeah. You know? Or maybe why it resonates so well is that the abstraction between the musician life and this outlaw character, it's not that different.
Yes. And I mean, another thing, you mentioned how the original line was not a friend of the devil's a friend of mine. It's about drinking.
Looks like water, right? But it tastes like wine.
Tastes like wine. That's even closer to whiskey in the jar, right?
That's right, because now we get the booze.
Did you already say that?
I didn't mention that fact, despite the fact that,
Okay. Sometimes I'm like, wait, did I forget? And then I'm like, well, that's cool. And I'm like, well, how did I think of that? Like, well, you told me, so.
Well, I did not tell you that. I didn't think of it, so
anyway,
good point.
I thought that was an interesting little connection.
It is interesting, but I do think a friend of the devil is a way better line.
It is a way better line. I mean, especially because, like, we're about to get into verse 2.
Mm-hmm.
The devil's actually a character in the song.
That's right. Similar to the song The Wait.
There's other similarities too.
Yeah. So ran into the devil, babe. He loaned me 20 bills. Spent the night in Utah in a cave up in the hills.
Yeah, another little rhyming couplet. The devil is a character in the song, but also it seems like the devil is just like a person kind of acting on behalf of the devil. You know?
It's almost like a friend of the devil is just a person who can be, as you said, like kind of possessed or take on the role of the devil.
Yeah.
Because, he runs into the devil here who generously loans him 20 bills, which I assume is $20?
Yeah, I think so. Because later on he says $20 bill.
He took my $20 bill and vanished in the air. You're right.
Yeah. Again, this is spending the night in the cave. Also similarities
like
to Whiskey in the Jar.
The original Whiskey in the Jar, which we never actually heard a version of that song with those lines, but we did see those lyrics.
Right. Just like having a cave.
Yeah.
Being a highwayman. Which this is just presumably like he needs some money, he borrows it from someone, and then he doesn't seem to stay, like he's not staying at a hotel or
he's not staying in town or anything. He's outlawing it up in the hills. I wonder if he is meant to be doing, because there's an interpretation of this, except it's loaned 20 bills. I think other versions, one of them states that he kills a man in the cave in Utah, so that's maybe why the devil was giving him money, is to do a hit. But that's not clear in the original
or he
version.
Killed him for the money.
Ran into the devil, he loaned me 20 bills. That would be interesting. Yeah, he's murdered a guy and taken his money. Not a lot to support that, though. But where this song lives is in that vague nature where it's just like, I ran into the devil, he gave me $20. It's like, okay, it wasn't really the devil, or was it? He gave you $20. Did he loan him to you? Like, why would he do that? So we don't get any of that detail.
Yeah, like, why does the devil do things? To tempt people, right? Into sinning? That's the idea. Anyway.
That's the idea, yeah. And so then he spends the night in Utah, which, as we've determined, is 1,000 years away from Reno.
From Reno, yeah. I mean, Reno's on the other side of Nevada, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. He could get there, and it's just the next chapter, right? It's not like,
Yeah.
But we've already talked about that. We hit the chorus again, because it runs so easily into the verse. From verse to chorus is so smooth. And then boom, we come to verse 3. I ran down to the levee, but the devil caught me there. He took my $20 bill and he vanished in the air.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I don't know if there's a significance of like the levee itself. Like I'm trying to think of like levees, where they would have levees in
Utah.
In the US. Like, is that in Utah? Is he like all the way over in Louisiana now?
Yeah, is he in a new
there's
part
a lot
of the world?
levees in the
There's
States.
levees all over.
But I mean, I know that levees are big. I think there's a lot of, because they like to keep water out, right?
Yeah.
Levees. Anyway, I don't know what the significance of that is, but levees are definitely a thing that blues songs sing about. Maybe
They
that's
definitely
the most
do.
important
Maybe
part, right?
maybe it's just to get some water. Like he's like gets them at the levee.
Yeah, I don't know. That is where the water is.
Yeah.
But now he's running away from the devil, kind of, right?
Yeah, he's on the move again, possibly from, and that's the other thing about his life is he's both a friend of the devil and friends with friends of the devil, but also on the run from the devil as well as the law, and so he's constantly on the move.
Yeah, so I mean, this is a really vague one. Is because so he's running. The devil catches him, presumably implying that the devil is the
was
one
in pursuit. Yeah,
in pursuit. But we also know he's running from the law. So did he get caught by like a lawman?
Possibly, and then paid him off $20.
But like it's vague, right? Like that's maybe one. But also like he met someone by the levee, and for some reason, like maybe he owed him money, or
it could be
something.
Any number of things. Like the ultimate nature is the like sort of easy come, easy go. I think of this life. Verse 2, he gets $20. Verse 3, he loses it. Right?
Yeah, true. Come into fortune.
Yeah,
but it doesn't last.
And that's why he needs. It's another like it said, and then boom, set out running, but I take my time. He's still moving. Like that's what it comes down to is like I'm gonna win some, I'm gonna lose some, but I'm just gonna keep moving, and maybe if I'm lucky, I'll get to sleep tonight.
Mm-hmm.
We hit the bridge, which I think was originally meant to be the chorus at one point, but it became bridge. Got 2 reasons why I cry away each lonely night. The first one's named Sweet Anne Marie, and she's my heart's delight. The second one is prison, babe. The sheriff's on my trail, and if he catches up with me, I'll spend my life in jail.
Yeah, still, we don't know what his crime is. Now, I will say this. I always thought the second one was prison bait. So I was like, so he's a statutory rapist. That's cool.
And that's why the sheriff's after him?
Yeah. I thought that was it.
Jesus.
That's what I always heard until looking up the lyrics this week. And I forgot about it, and then we picked the song, and I was like, oh, cool, we're going to get to talk about this. And then I realized that's not what it said, but I brought it up anyway.
Babe is his filler word, because we did actually kind of forget to mention it, and it is a bit of an interesting element of because he keeps calling you, the listener, babe, I guess.
That's true. Got away from Chino, babe, and one in Cherokee.
Yeah. Ran into the devil, babe. He loaned me $20.
Yeah. It's all in there. So, interesting. So, we're babe.
We're babe.
Pig
Tonight, we are the pig in the city. That's right. So we get the 2 things that keep him up at night is this love who he can't be with because he's on the road, Anne Marie. And the second one is his fear of being in jail. It's pretty simple.
Because he did some crime.
Yeah. Not, as we've determined, not statutory rape.
Not confirmed to be. Hopefully it isn't. But
I mean, it's still open, but like, yeah.
Yeah, given the character, it doesn't necessarily matter what the crime is specifically, but it has the feeling of like he was doing something to survive, right? Like
exactly, yeah.
He's that kind of character. He's not necessarily trying to hurt anyone, but he's he just
he's just like the angle we get from him is that he's just living life,
Yeah.
He doesn't come off as like a harsh murderer or something. He's just a guy doing things to get by.
Which is interesting.
He says, yawning.
He says yawning. Because, I mean, if we go into the next verse, then we learn a little more about our main character. And it maybe brings into question some of the things he's just said, right?
Yeah, it really does raise questions about Anne Marie in particular, but got a wife in Chino, babe, and one in Cherokee. The first one says she's got my child, but it don't look like me.
Yeah, so very interesting. Because obviously he's mentioned Sweet Anne Marie. She could be one of those two.
It's possible.
She could be a third beau, right? Like he could have these wives that he's abandoned, and he's now found a third person, and he's like, now I'm in love with Anne Marie, you know?
I feel like that's the most likely answer.
That's what it seems like, right?
Yeah. But she could also be the one in Cherokee, because I'm assuming it's not the first one, because it kind of sounds like maybe the first one has cheated on him and is trying to get child support out of him.
Yes, maybe. He clearly doesn't trust her.
Yeah, he clearly does not trust her.
At the very least.
At the very least. Worth noting, both of these locations are in California.
Yes. So we're still, I mean, it's a lot of like Western frontier stuff. I don't know if it's the frontier at the time, but it really has that feeling, right?
Yeah, it does.
And it is also like kind of deserty area.
Yeah, it's you're right.
American frontier.
Wonder if there's something to that.
I don't know. It's warm, so you can drift around with it. I guess it's also cold at night.
You know who else drifted around the desert? A little carpenter known as Jesus Christ.
Just a little somebody known as Jesus Christ. Maybe you've heard of him?
Maybe you heard of him. Yeah, I was so confused when I was doing notes this week because people kept talking about Reno, and I was like, I thought the wife was in Chino. I forgot that he opens with setting out from Reno.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know either of these cities, so.
No, I know Chino because in the hit TV series The OC, Ryan Atwood, the main character, is from Chino.
Ah, I see.
So they call him Chino a lot. I also had a cat who was maybe named Chino when I was young. Because my parents called him Bino, but at one point they're like, yeah, his name was originally Chino. And I'm like, I don't understand.
And we'll never know.
Yeah, I still don't understand to this day, but that's my connection to Chino. Then from here on, it's just bridge, that verse, the wife verse again, and the choruses.
The choruses. Yeah, that's it. I mean, so there's 4 rhyming couplets and then split up by those choruses, and then there's the bridge, which, like you said, is kind of feels like a chorus. But I guess naming the song "Friend of the Devil" makes the other part more the chorus. But it's cool. I also like, I mean, the "Friend of the Devil" line, like "Friend of the Devil is a friend of mine" is interesting in how it implies like the way he approaches relationships.
Right.
It's like, these are the people that like I can get along with, sort of.
Yeah.
These are my friends, are also friends of the devil. You know, it's me, but it's all of us, you know?
And you even see that in the relationships when he talks about his direct relationship with the devil who gives him and then takes away $20. Yeah. And then things like his wife in Chino, who like is like maybe trying to play him, but is like was also his wife, so he clearly loved her to some extent.
Yeah.
So that's real friend of the devil behavior.
So interesting character.
Yeah.
Interesting character. And the song like cooks pretty good. Like the pacing is quite nice. Like we were talking, like we don't always get good transitions between sections.
Yeah.
But today it was like, well, this is like the thing that's about to come up.
Yeah, it's just like lyrically it's such a smooth transition, and it's crazy that it works that well.
Yeah.
But yeah, also musically, this is like the benefit of these guys being the best jam band to walk the earth, is that like the music on this is all like so solid and so smooth that it makes those transitions from chorus to verse still exciting but so seamless that like the song just rips.
It does, yeah. You just slide right through it, you know? Like
and it starts out with classic jam band style. They actually talk about this in a quote I have here. According to McNally, the song's famous intro came about by accident when Hunter and Nelson laid down the first take. He told Songfacts podcast in 2021, quote, before they started recording, Nelson was checking to see that his guitar was in tune, and he ran this thing, ding, 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 down a scale. And if you listen to that recording, that's how the song opens. When he first did that, he did it simply to check the guitar's tuning, and they kept it, so it became a part of the song. That's the most jam band shit you can do.
Yeah.
I'm playing a scale. Hang on, let me noodle around that.
Yeah, but it's cool. Like this whole bit is basically them like picking around each other,
Yeah.
which makes a really cool sound and like a cool like texture to it. Because it is, I don't know. There's just a lot of motion to it.
A lot of motion, beautiful tone on those guitars.
Layers.
Yeah, it's boom, ding,
Yeah,
ding,
acoustic
ding,
guitars.
ding, ding.
Yeah, and they're just like.
And I
picking
believe
around. That's a nice descending pattern.
So there is David the Greaseman Griezmann with his mandolin on this track.
There's a mandolin somewhere. I think that comes in later. There's a higher part.
It comes in a little later.
Chorus.
I think you can hear it. It's like very muted a lot of the time it plays.
Okay. There's a lot of guitars credited on this song as well.
Okay,
There's like
so
at least 3 guitars, and then Pup sounds like a mandolin as well.
Right. So yeah, those part you're probably better at identifying a mandolin than me.
To me, I mean, it could be a higher muted guitar, but
yeah,
I usually, lean towards mandolin.
I didn't look at the number of guitar credits though. I was just like, there's a guitar, there's another guitar, that's a bass.
You never know. I mean, I'm just looking at like, is it here? Guitar. Well, there's 3. Bob Weir, Jerry Garcia, and Phil Lesh are all have guitar credits, but I think this might be more the album because there's also an electric guitar credit, a piano credit, a pedal steel credit, and it's like that's not on this song.
No.
So yeah, it kind of looks like all the songs have the same credits. So
okay, so that's not really that helpful. I don't even
see the mandolin credit at all.
Yeah.
Or the Greaseman.
Yeah, but he's on this, and I think on Ripple.
Yeah, I believe that. But anyway, so he comes in, but I think I first noticed it in the chorus, 26 seconds.
Okay, you're probably right there.
Or 36 seconds.
Right.
And then you get a little lick. But that's in a bit. So this intro, very cool. Everything like fits nicely together. And then like the bass even comes in with a little riff and is kind of doing some similar picking. It's
quite big in the mix. Like it almost takes the lead, that bass.
Just for like a second.
Mm-hmm.
And then like kind of settles into its rhythm, which is cool.
Dum, boom, boom, dum, dum. Yeah, they do a good job with that bass. What we'll see in versions that really simplify the instrumentals because you have to. Is that a lot of them do. You have to pick up on those, like it's got to be like the root tones of the chord or whatever, but like they leave enough of that skeleton work in the original version that it doesn't sound like too much of a loss when you simplify to just that.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, this song is so nice. It's easy breezy. Kind of similar. If you heard us talk about the Whiskey in the Jar song, it's like that but better because it's the whole Grateful Dead.
Right.
You got it is Jerry Garcia singing, right? He's got the
I believe so. Yeah, that's the voice.
I ran into the devil.
Yeah, kind of like high and light. Even the way the vocals are, they're not harsh vocals.
Mm-hmm.
They're softer the way he sings.
Yeah, which also
like a little higher too. So
yeah, it kind of paints the way we view this outlaw character too, right?
Yeah, it's like maybe a gentler character who's down on his luck, obviously, and doing things that are illegal.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But you're like, hey, he's all right.
Softer person, yeah.
He's in a bit of a tough spot. He's getting hit up for child support. You're like, I feel for this guy a bit.
Feel for this guy, like a little bit. Although he does have 2+ wives, so.
Yeah. But hey, Utah, baby. Yeah.
Utah, yeah.
Except both of his wives are in California.
Yeah. But yeah, highlight, and then the verse doesn't last that long. Although it really it continues the intro basically.
Yeah,
and the whole thing flows like you were saying. Like they don't change a whole lot between the verse and the chorus either.
Mm-hmm.
Which flows right into the chorus. There does that part. And
your biggest change on that chorus is that the bass goes to kind of like a root fifth. Dun, dun,
yes,
dun, dun.
And even like the low guitar part does similar. It's just like that bump, bump, bump. Yeah, you get that sound. So it is a little different. You're right.
Yeah, and we get that nice little lick. I think from the mandolin is that one you're talking about.
Yes,
and then we get that injection of drums. You're 40 seconds in, you don't even realize that you've been missing drums until they come in,
and you're like, oh damn, we're on verse 2. And the drums are in.
Yeah, and then that mandolin is in there full time now. Is that right? He's that kind of jaunty upper part there on the verse.
Strumming,
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
Like the end also does like at the end. Well, it's actually not till the end of the next chorus, but like it's that lick.
Yeah,
For sure. Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, it's so we rip into that. It's a little more livelier, more instruments. By the end of a minute, we've done 2 verses and 2 choruses.
It's quick.
Yeah.
That's why part of why it feels like a refrain because it's so fast, even though it's like longer than the verses.
And then just like the instrumental, so they just kind of build throughout. So verse 3 feels a little bit livelier than verse 2, even though it's really the same instruments playing at this point.
Yeah, but I mean, similar to how the song is well paced, like narratively, instrumentally, similar because like you get the like there's a new picking pattern that comes in that transitions from the following chorus because the third verse and then a chorus.
Yeah,
and then that leads into the bridge.
That's right.
And then sort of it leads into a similar but less complex picking pattern or picking part on the higher guitar in the bridge.
That's right. You're getting those kind of like the closest you'll get to like a sustained chord that.
Yeah, that's cool. That's the like it's almost like a slide. It may actually just be a slide.
Yeah, you're right.
Because that's kind of what it sounds like. Like it's multiple strings, and you're like, maybe that's the pedal steel. It doesn't sound super steely, but I feel like you could do that with steel.
Yeah, you definitely could, and it's like, yeah, because Jerry Garcia's singing, and I think he's the pedal steel guy.
Yeah,
because he also played pedal steel for Crosby, Stills, and Nash.
Oh, that's right. They all knew each other.
They all knew each other. It's one of the funnest parts of like any music history. Like, and all of these guys knew each other, and you're like, no fucking way.
Damn. They were just hanging out. I mean, it's like talking about like we'll probably talk about the band a little more as we go because there are some similarities between this song and The Wait.
Yeah.
Musically a little bit. Some of the other covers have it more, but the way the bum bum bum, you know, that descending scale pattern you're talking about reminds me of the dun dun bum 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 bum, which is The Wait. And then of course the story of like a drifter who's kind of down on their luck.
Yeah, a little bit of like religious themes without necessarily like being a religious song or really talking about any like specific faith.
Almost like folk religion through the
they're like folk characters.
Rural Christianity in the America. And the devil is in both of them, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Carmen and the devil. Just meeting the devil.
Devil's got $20 and you're like, oh shit.
Devil's got $20. Devil has $20. The devil took my $20.
And gave it to somebody else. That could be the name of this song.
Because presumably they had the devil lyrics, but didn't have the friend of the devil line, which is wild.
That's crazy.
They're like, yeah, it's not about the devil. It's actually about alcohol, though, or whatever.
Yeah.
Whoever came up with that line.
That is John Dawson of the New Riders of the Purple Sage.
Yeah. Don't know that group. Don't know that guy.
No. Jerry Garcia is part of them,
Genius line.
Yeah, incredible line. And this was originally meant to be because the New Riders asked Paul. No, not Paul. Maybe it was Paul. They asked one guy to come play with them, and this song was going to be for the New Riders of the Purple Sage.
Oh.
But then everybody in the Grateful Dead kind of got their hands on it, and then they just started playing it. They're like, well, it's a Grateful Dead track now.
Yeah, I mean, don't blame them. It's a good song.
I don't blame them. Great track. We hit that bridge. We've got the new sort of arrangement. Drums, pretty big here. Like, everything is just jamming in the most literal sense of that. It's just like almost everything in this song is a run of some kind if it's not a rhythm section. Like, it's the drums are doing runs, the bass is doing runs. Like, it's all seamless. It's all smooth.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the sound. Obviously, that's the sound. But
mandolin doing that fucking wild ass stuff on the wife verse following the first bridge.
All right, yeah, we're on verse 4. Lots of fast picking.
Yeah.
That's the only time it comes in, even though we repeat it later. I'm pretty sure it doesn't do the same thing.
More jam band behavior.
And now, hey,
that was fucking great. Let's never do it again.
Let's never do it again. Because we forgot.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say that's why they allowed bootlegs, because I know that's been some like band stories where they're like, we don't know what we did up there, so we need the bootleg.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's how it's all available, right? Like,
yeah,
and it's not like they're. I mean, maybe they're doing stuff multiple times, but they're not going to remember every. That's part of the reason people would follow them, right? Because every show is different.
Exactly.
Which is kind of cool, but also time consuming.
Yeah, fucking A.
But I guess being a drifter on the road is maybe.
Yeah, maybe your sense of time is a little looser,
Yeah. Plus, getting your stuff out there. There's just more material.
Yeah.
More recordings.
Exactly.
But
There's
anyway,
a ton to get
I
through
digress.
there. Yeah, dog.
Yeah, verse 4, cool, all that picking, and then there's an instrumental part.
Yeah,
it's like a picking solo.
Yeah, we get some more of that picking going on. They fit this into a 3.5 minute song.
There's the ride cymbal.
Yeah.
In the instrumental part. Anyway, yeah, then another bridge, another verse, another chorus, similar to the previous ones, and then they do the just might get some sleep, and then everyone harmonizes tonight.
Yeah, and you get like the final note.
End. Yeah.
It kicks ass. Great song.
Yeah.
I get so caught up in it that by the time it's over, I'm like, oh fuck, I felt like it just begun.
And it's a quick song too. Like it's not very long. So that's probably part of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a ripper. Blessedly it's 1970, so there's no music video for this.
Yeah.
Which means we're going to get
like some live recordings from various time periods, but yeah,
did you check any of those out? Anything worthwhile? No. All right.
I didn't see anything.
But we're going to start with a live recording after this short break. And we're back.
Dun dun.
Dun dun. We're back, and we're going to talk about some covers, folks. That's the name of the show. It's what we do here. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, I'm pretty sure.
The Heartbreakers. Why did
1997.
I set out running, but I take my time. A friend of the devil is a friend of mine. If I get home before daylight, I just might get some sleep tonight.
Heartbreakers is HP in this entire thing. Wow.
And the Harry Potters. Embarrassing, Alex.
And the Harry Potters.
And the hit points.
We talked about Tom Petty.
One of the greats, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. Did we talk about Free Fallin'?
No, we talked about Breakdown.
Breakdown, that's right.
We've also talked about his cover of a track by the Byrds.
Yes.
Oh, and I'm probably feeling a whole lot better when you're gone.
Yes, we talked about that song.
Tom Petty has the incredible habit of making every kind of rock song of this style, your sort of folksy, more like bluesy stuff, making it sound like he wrote it.
He's such a distinct voice.
Yeah.
And that's true of actually a number of these.
The artists today, there is actually some great vocalists on board.
Yeah. But this one, obviously, I mean, Jerry Garcia, very distinct voice as well, as we mentioned. And then, Tom Petty's got that like weird buzzy thing. And then he can kind of scream a bit too. Like, not scream, but how would you describe it?
Like wailing, I guess would be the term. He can really,
to
live like a refugee. Don't have to live. Yeah. He was in the Traveling Wilburys. He is so good at what he does, and I think like he's like mastered, or he had, rest in peace to a real one. He mastered like effortlessness, like mastery or whatever you call it, where like he made everything he does look easy.
Okay. I mean, you saw him, right?
Yeah, I saw him. Incredible that he never looked like he was straining. Even on here, he doesn't like, and he's playing the harmonica and shit on this, and some guitar and singing. He's like, you listen to Tom Petty and you're like, well, obviously I could also be a musician. And then it's like, no, he's just very good at what he does.
Just makes it look easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, also known as a jam band, right?
Yeah, I suppose so.
At least to some degree.
I wouldn't consider them as much of a jam band as the Grateful Dead.
Not like the Grateful Dead, but I always thought that was a bit of their thing.
Yeah, well, particularly in this cover here they do, and because it is live, they got a big like trading off solo section.
Yeah, this is actually almost 6 minutes, so it's quite a bit longer.
Yeah, they're like maybe a jam band where jam bands started to be a little more refined. right? Where they found sections for it rather than where the Grateful Dead was like, we've got some studio albums that we use as a basis to fucking improvise 20-minute songs off.
Right. Yes. 20-minute songs.
But so this is 1997 live at the Fillmore.
Yep.
He's done this live version a couple times in 2013. You can find recordings and video of as well. We moved that descending scale to be on a piano as well as a guitar.
Yeah, this has some of the credits, some of the instruments that the credits claim are in the on the original. You get some piano, some organ,
Yeah.
More, I think, an electric guitar at some point.
Yes, you do, and that is more, like you said, more like the weight,
Harmonica.
like harmonica as well. That's a little bit more the weight style instruments with that organ. But yeah, there's a nice richness to the sound here. It feels maybe a touch slower than the original, but I think that's fine.
Yeah, 'cause the original's pretty quick, and even looking at the Grateful Dead, they played it a lot slower live.
Yeah.
At least at some of the recordings I checked out.
I believe I've read that was influenced by the Kenny Loggins cover. Might have been Loggins in Messina.
Yes, there's a whole bunch of covers, which I did want to bring up at some point. If you look at the Wikipedia page, there's a lot of covers by notable artists.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about a lot of them because a lot of them are live and not easily available.
Yeah, it can
like
be tough
not
to
on
find those.
Streaming, or at least not Tidal. So
yeah, fucking Tidal.
It's tough.
It's tough
to find
out there.
But we did these versions. There's some good ones. Yeah. What else is on here? They're like early on. So yeah, it sets it up with the guitar and the piano. And then there's a harmonica and an organ that comes in. So they play this for a while.
Yeah, like we get a rich 1 minute intro just about.
Similar form to the original. They don't have the same picking stuff, but they are doing some picking and the piano's playing along, and there's just so many different instruments playing now. So they kind of create their layers that way.
Exactly. So you can lose some of the technicality of this, these just full on runs on guitars and mandolins and basses because you have more instruments to fill the space in. Yeah,
and they're still playing licks on the guitars. And stuff.
Yeah, it's Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, like you said, a jam band and very fucking good. So they're not. It's not like it's too difficult for them. They just have a different style.
Yeah. Definitely different sound. I guess a little more electric or whatever, but
for sure. Even you hear it on that guitar arpeggios on an electric guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they do, and they got great harmonies. These guys when they hit the chorus.
Yes, that's kind of where the thing they do. I mean, Tom Petty sings the verses, and everybody harmonizes on the chorus.
Yeah, sounds great.
Does sound good. Great, even.
Yeah.
There's also the organs kind of punctuating some moments. I didn't describe that very well, but on the choruses, it'll do some what I would call punctuation, and there's a lot of it on the bridge too.
Yeah.
I'm all over the place.
Hell yeah, organ. Yeah, he's kind of filling out the back there. He kind of carries us from the second chorus at least into the next verse. Verse 3, there's a lyrical change.
Mm-hmm.
At the 154 mark, I ran to the devil, and the devil caught me there. He took my $20 bill, and he slicked back all my hair.
Yeah, interesting. What could that mean?
What could that? Does it? Because that just makes you look more villainous, or?
Well, I do have a thought about that. This is 97, so it's maybe a bit late. But I mean, if I think of that, I'm thinking Gordon Gekko.
Yeah,
so this is 80s,
right.
Post 80s. So I feel like it's almost like a yuppie thing.
Yeah,
it's he turned me into a shallow person who
he's turned me into
chases
one
wealth
of these businessmen
at the expense of or whatever
yeah,
whatever that implies. That was kind of my thought. I don't know if it's the case because again 97.
I would buy that because Tom Petty, known yuppie hater, and it does fall into his image and his idea of who a villain might be.
Yeah, so what does it mean to have slicked back hair?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that.
Yeah, the devil has made me a capitalist pig.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
But there's not different I didn't find any other differences.
No, that was the only one I could hear.
Yeah. So he's got slicked back hair.
Yeah.
But what's the next important thing? Solos?
Yeah, I think that's the big one. Like you said,
Yeah.
they follow pretty close to the original in terms of like general instrumentation.
Yep.
So yeah, getting to the solos is the next big part. I believe it
Yeah.
starts with a harmonica solo.
Yeah, you can come right out of the bridge, and then it goes into harmonica solo.
Yeah, which hell yeah, I'm here for that.
Yeah. Little guitar lick kind of transitions into an organ solo.
Yeah. So they keep you on your feet too, because I was like, oh, it'll be a guitar solo, and it's like, no, it's organ now.
And then there is a guitar solo, but it's kind of two guitars.
Mm-hmm.
So it starts like we're going to do this guitar, or two guitars. It kind of sounds like two guitars. And then another one that's got like this heavy, maybe chorus or flanger
Yeah.
effect on it. I always get those mixed up.
Yeah, I'm not an expert on pedals.
And then does like the rest of the solo.
Yeah, that's right. So you start out with that first one, and then it kind of cuts through and takes over. It's some great like classic Tom Petty tones. This sounds like a Tom Petty song.
It does. I thought that like maybe they just like turn the pedal on, but they do overlap for a second.
They overlap, yeah.
Yeah. So,
yeah,
it happens. That's how.
And on the repeat of the Wife and Chino verse, we get a little more piano action there. That piano we kind of got in the intro. We don't hear too much of it throughout the song. But
it's like kind of has a nice sprinkling of piano that they add throughout.
Yeah.
And a lot of like arpeggios as you go. That's kind of, I guess I noticed that on the soloing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Guitar solos, you start to get like more piano, and then it's kind of playing more afterwards as well.
Yeah. And then that verse leads into more soloing from the guitar.
Even more soloing. Yes,
doubling.
That's the one with all the piano arpeggios.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Because we're at like 4.5 minutes now.
Yeah. And then the last like minute on this is part applause and stuff, but part like this organ, like basically that solo section / duo section, the piano and guitar breaks down to the organ.
Mm-hmm.
And then we rise back up to get the final line. And you sit down, running, but take my time. The final chorus.
Yeah, they end it quite nicely on the harmonies.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a very small big rock ending.
Yeah.
They do that, everyone plays a bit, and then it's over.
Yeah, it's like one big note that then turns into like a rising piano, and then the cymbals. So it's a very toned down big rock ending.
Yeah, it doesn't last very long, but, it's how you end a song, right?
Yeah, especially it's a good touch for the end of Friend of the Devil.
Yeah.
Which doesn't need, like massive arena rock treatment.
True. Yeah, that would be very weird.
Yeah. Tom Petty ends by saying thank you when in Rome. Where the Fillmore, where is the Fillmore? I meant to look this up.
I also forgot to look it up. It is in San Francisco, California.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of the stuff's in California. I don't know why that would be that significant, though.
Unless, are the Grateful Dead Californian?
Oh, maybe they are. Yeah, I mean, they're probably
Palo
like
Alto, California.
Yeah. Okay, makes sense.
So yeah, he's in California. He's doing Californian music. That must be it. I also first thought, I was like, is he in like Utah?
Yeah, or like one of the places mentioned in the song.
Yeah, that would have been my thought, but no, he's playing a California band. But hey, you know what? Similar to California in that it's a state, Pennsylvania.
Oh, yeah. It's in San Francisco.
Yeah. Oh, it's okay. So they are a San Francisco band.
I guess. I mean, that's where like a lot of hippie stuff happened, right?
That makes sense to me, man.
Like San Francisco was kind of known for hippies.
That checks out to me. Frisco, Cisco.
How I love it, Frisco.
How I love to move this train forward to talk about
let's
Langhorne Slim, 2001.
Said I'm running, but I take my time. A friend of the devil is a friend of mine. If I get home before daylight, just might get some sleep tonight. Ran into the devil and he
Yeah, born Sean Skolnick.
Yeah, he's from Langhorne, Pennsylvania. So he took Langhorne, added Slim on that, so he sounds like a drug dealer from a local Pennsylvania town.
Sounds like a drug dealer. That's the goal, man.
That's right, baby. He's like kind of a good working musician. He's toured with Cake, The Violent Femmes, Grace Potter, The Devil Makes Three, The Lumineers, and other bands.
There you go. And he's in kind of the same, vein. Makes sense that he'd be opening for them.
Yeah, his sound is very much of that style. He's like an energetic, like acoustic folk player.
And
with a weird ass voice.
Yeah, definitely in the like folk kind of, I want to even say bluegrass vein because of his voice not being very poppy. But yeah, I guess country.
Yeah, that country folky yodely.
Definitely yodely.
And it works, dog. It works for me. I like this one.
Yeah, especially because like he's solo, right? It's a solo acoustic guitar thing, singer-songwriter style, but like he's playing fast, he's picking. It's creating a lot of interest for me.
Yeah, he's got a lot of energy on that, and he does a really smart thing of taking that bridge and slowing it right the fuck down to be this almost like pounding rhythm.
True. He kind of goes back and forth. That's sort of, he also goes back and forth a bit like when he at his singing style. Because if you listen to the way he like enunciates, or is enunciate, like, let me see if I got this right. Yeah, because you kind of hear it, like he almost goes back. I don't know how to describe it, but like it's almost a back and forth, Yeah. The way okay, I've been rambling. Let me see if I can pull this together.
Hey, you were born a rambling man.
I was born a rambling man. When he's like, like you kind of hear his voice like flip almost.
Yeah.
Lines, and it's kind of yodely, as mentioned, because you kind of get like his some cracks.
Yeah, you get some cracks. There's like a bit of edge to it. That's like, oh.
Yeah. 9 in the morning came around.
And I feel like he also
is higher.
In like the jam band sense, I feel like he never hits the same line the same way twice.
He's just switching it up.
He's switching it up all the time vocally, and like it's raw. This version feels very raw to me, and
yeah,
with a singer like this, I think you're always going to kind of go one way or the other on him. And I liked it. I liked his weird yodely folk noise.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's fun.
It fit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it fits the song.
It works great.
Feel, so, yeah.
And keeping that energy on the guitar. If he was just doing big fucking chords, I'd tell him to go home. But like,
I absolutely would.
The fact that he's doing the work on the guitar really brings this through. He does a couple of weird lyrical changes. He stiffed a man in Utah in a cave.
Yeah.
Which I believe stiffed in this context means murdered.
Means murdered.
Not like he didn't give him $20.
Yeah.
And he also says, got 2 reasons why I cry awake each lonely night.
Yeah, which is kind of what the original almost sounds like it says and implies as well, right?
Yeah, it's implying he doesn't get sleep.
Yeah.
So it works. It's a little strange, but it works.
Yeah, but it's a cool setup. I do like how he like really focuses on that bridge by slowing it down, and even like the third verse gets cut. To get to the bridge faster.
Yeah, he never loses that $20.
So he just has the $20 that he stole from a man.
Yeah, in a cave in Utah.
Is that implied?
I feel like it is, but it could be 2 separate events, but it feels like he was trying to connect them to me.
Yeah.
So either took it from the man or a dude hired him, and this is one that has maybe the Hitman interpretation.
Right. Or like something, there was violence, right? It's violence because they live a violent life.
It's living on the edge of society.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought it was good. He must have a kick drum or something too if he's solo, because there is a few drum hits around like 2:15 and a bit earlier as well.
Like just a bit?
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't even notice that.
They're very slight. They're very quiet, so it could be something else.
It almost sounds like he's just hitting his guitar.
That could be it as well. Just a little guitar thump.
It's just kind of like a distant hollow sound.
Yeah. So yeah,
which would check out with the solo.
He brings it out. That checks out with the solo vibe. It's a good take. I'd pay to hear this live. Probably be pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
I'd also pay to hear this next version live, Counting Crows in 2003.
Said I'll run it, but I take my time. A friend of the devil is a friend of mine. If I get home before daylight, just might get some sleep tonight.
Yeah, we haven't talked about Counting Crows in a while, but we have talked about them.
The guys behind Mr. Jones, that's I think their biggest hit.
It's gotta be.
Yeah.
Except maybe Accidentally in Love.
Yeah.
Because that was in Shrek 2.
That was in Shrek 2.
And that's gonna give you a good bump. But like they're both up there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And freaking Counting Crows, they're a pretty solid band.
Yeah. I don't listen to them.
I don't listen to
when
a
I
ton
hear
of
them,
them.
he sounds good.
Yeah, he's got a very
Adam
good
Duritz.
vocal quality, and they're like a solid like 90s soft rock band.
Yeah. Precisely.
And that's what you get here. And I was shocked at how well it worked because they really make it sound like a Counting Crows song.
I don't necessarily know what a Counting Crows song sounds like overall, but yeah, they make it their own.
They make it their own.
I guess, yeah.
Like there's certain lines, like talking about Sweet Anne Marie is the kind of soft, sappy shit that I think his
That they
voice
would
really
cover.
brings out and really resonates. So I was hearing lines like that, I'm like, maybe this is a Counting Crows song. Like, it wouldn't be my first thought of like somebody to cover this, but yeah.
It works. This is also the one because it's slowed down, and like if you listen to the beginning, you really get that descending pattern.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the one that made me think first of The Wait.
The weight, yeah, I could see that, especially with that piano that comes in too.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little more the weighty.
Yeah. Although this one feels a lot like the Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers one.
Yeah, it does feel like it maybe pulls a little
It is and the
inspiration from
Heartbreakers
there.
here, right?
It is and the Heartbreakers.
Even though I just see Tom Petty
Credited as the artist, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Gotta
fairly sure it's Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
Yeah, the album artwork says on the Heartbreakers. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Anyway.
So yeah, we start very down low. It's very light instrumentation, and then you get to hear the main vocalist come in, do his really, really tender sad boy vocals. It's
We talked about a live version of theirs when we were talking about Mr. Jones. That was really good. So
Yeah.
I'm not too surprised that they're good at doing stuff live.
Yeah, and then this was, is this actually the live cover? I know they've done it live. Or is this the version they recorded for an album?
Oh, I thought this was live for some reason, but I see now that it is not.
Yeah, I think this is just recorded for this compilation album, Films About Ghosts.
Okay. Never mind.
But they do it live, and I watched a bit of a Howard Stern clip of them talking about doing it.
Yeah.
And that was they did it live first, I think, before they did it in a studio.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, yeah. So it's pretty good. Pretty good version. There's some other stuff going on. I am trying to figure out if there's an accordion on this very briefly.
Accordion.
243.
240 and 3. Let me see. Yes, 100%.
Is that the right timestamp?
Yeah, you
Right,
can
I
hear
messed
it
up.
kind of in the left side of
Yeah.
the speaker. It's so far in the back, but
Yeah, it's and if it was live, I'd be skeptical
Mhm.
that they would just have that there. But
Yeah, but
if
in a
they,
studio
like,
setting, you can.
it was in a studio and it just like kind of maybe even snuck into the mix.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, could see that. What else do they have? I mean, like I said, very similar to Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers in that like they have electric guitar, organ,
Yeah.
piano, and like more solos, which is kind of why I think I thought it was live because some
Right.
part of it seems live. He says "Go Charlie" at one point.
Yeah, that's
I
right. Come
think
on, Charlie.
I don't know who that is because
A member of the band, I would assume.
But I was looking them up and I didn't see a Charlie. Oh well. Charlie Gillingham.
Charlie
Yeah,
Gillingham.
that checks out. Oh, a keyboardist and is pictured playing an accordion here. So
Okay, so there you go. And that's why we get the piano and organ solo after he says, "Come on, Charlie."
it says, "Come on, Charlie." Makes sense. I guess I did forget to look him up then. I thought I looked him up and I guess I must not have.
Hey, sometimes we miss things.
Yeah, so organ solo, guitar solo. Again, similar setup
Yeah.
to the Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers version, but they're much shorter.
Yeah. We got like a minute and a half less here.
Yeah.
They
But
do
yeah,
a
so it
really
does have some live feel.
Yeah,
to
they
it.
got some live feel
Feels
to
like it'd
it.
be good live.
They also do their bridge kind of similarly to Langhorne Slim in that there's a real emphasis on that like unts. It's slowed down a bit and there's like an emphasis on the beat.
Yeah, do they slow it down? Because the rest of it is also slowed
slow.
down.
So it might just be that emphasizing of the beat more than anything else. But you get that kick drum in there. It really brings things together. It's a good bridge.
I guess, yeah, they do focus because it's a lot of the harmonies,
Mhm.
and then, yeah, they got that pulse.
Dun.
But it ends up being shorter because they don't do long solos like the
Yeah.
Heartbreakers one. I guess other than that, I do think that slowing it down really lets them. I mean, you can kind of sit in some of the sadder lines that way, which is sort of what Langhorne Slim did, at least for parts of it, and I think that worked. Here, it's just spread out for the whole thing. I think it still works because it's all about this character that's down on their luck, and
yeah, you get more of the
it's sad,
the sad / like romantic side of this character, pining for his Anne Marie and suffering from troubles all the while.
Yeah. Just a troubled guy.
Just a troubled guy. The ending on this is similar to the original. It's a pretty solid, slowed down version. I didn't think would work at first glance, but it's good stuff. But hey, you know who's working in the film industry is Cosmo Jarvis in 2012.
Set out running, gonna take my time. A friend of the devil is a friend of mine. If I get home before daylight, I just might get some sleep tonight.
Yeah, I didn't think I had the right guy at first.
Yeah.
I pulled up his Wikipedia page and I was like, nah, he's not a British actor, musician, and filmmaker starring in Lady Macbeth, Calm with Horses, and Persuasion, movies I have not seen.
Mm-hmm.
Probably so most I don't know this guy.
Of
Do you
note,
recognize him?
No, I don't, but I do recognize the 2024 limited series Shogun, which is currently very popular that he's in.
Oh.
I haven't seen it myself, but I know that probably people in the world have, because I hear it's very popular. So he's in that. He's an up and comer, as they say. He's on the scene.
Hulu and FX. I can't watch Hulu.
Yeah, come on.
I don't have that.
I don't have Hulu. So he's British. That's kind of why he had to be a musician before becoming an actor. Kind of a prereq there.
Yeah, although he was born in New Jersey.
America. Yeah.
Not that it matters that much because he early on moved.
It actually has a huge impact on this track because there is jazz drums right off the bat.
There you go. Yeah, I thought it was going to be a jazz version.
Yeah, me too.
Just based on that. But no, it's got the but then it comes in with the picking.
Mm-hmm.
And it ends up just feeling more like a modern country version, I think.
Yeah, it's almost like a toned down Langhorne Slim with more instruments, or Langhorne Slim.
Yeah, his voice is a little deeper. The picking, I would say, is not as interesting as
and they even do bring in a banjo, and it still doesn't actually sound as exciting.
Yeah, so they kind of take out some of the complexity there. Fine, they're not the first ones to.
Yeah.
But he also doesn't do the slow down. And there's similarities to the way Langhorne Slim sings, but he's a little more, I guess, measured. Like, it's a little smoother. And he's a little deeper.
Yeah, like a little more poppy, a little more like within the realm of what's acceptable on the radio.
Yeah, this is the first one where I listening to the vocals. I don't think it's like a distinct vocalist.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
The first four, yeah.
It's and of all the covers we're going to talk about today, it has maybe the least character of any of them.
Yes, I think so. Because I heard it, I'm like, modern country, cool.
Yeah.
Whereas the other ones, I'm like, cool, picking guitar. Although there is a picking guitar solo on this, and there's the banjo, which is cool.
Yeah.
But not as much interesting stuff going on.
Yeah, I would hesitate to call it bad, but I think, particularly among the group of covers we've got this week, it's not going to win any awards. Well, it's going to win one probably, but not the one it wants to win.
Yeah, unfortunately. But yes, definitely, this is the one that stands out as it's fine.
Yeah.
And, it does the country thing. And for a guy who is theoretically British and according to his Wikipedia page does not identify as American at all.
Yeah. He's
got a decent twangy voice.
Yeah, he's doing pretty solid country.
Yeah. So that's how it goes. And let's see. Solo. I thought the solo was decent, It's got the picking guitar, and then the banjo joins in and adds some arpeggios, so there's a lot of that. And then it kind of drops down, and you just get drums and picking.
Yeah.
Or it drops the rhythm guitar and bass for a while. Yeah, those are just some details that I thought might be interesting, but they're not.
They're not really, unfortunately. That's the problem with this one.
It's quick, I guess.
It's quick. He's in and out.
Repetition. It doesn't do the repetitions at the end of everything. Just,
Yeah.
Quick one.
He's a quick one. A quick one before, what the fuck is it? A quick one before he gets back? Is that the name of that? The Who
quick
album?
one while she's away.
While she's away.
She's away.
Yeah.
While he's away?
While he's away, maybe.
Can't remember now.
Well, let's say it's while she's
Ferdinand's
away, so
gone. Yeah, it's while
Mumford
he's
and
away.
his sons can come out to play Mumford and Sons
Whoa.
2016.
Set out running, but I take my time. A friend of the devil is a friend of mine. If I get home before daylight, I just might get some sleep tonight.
Yes. Another
Um,
British group.
Yeah, another British group. These guys, if they didn't invent it, they certainly perfected the hey style of music, right? Am I right?
If I knew more about Mumford and Sons, I'm sure I would agree with
I'm
you.
pretty sure that's who they are. I'll tell you this, knowing what I know about Mumford and Sons, which is like white shirts and suspenders, I did not expect this cover.
No, I was expecting more folky, and this is like chill.
Yeah, this is like chill synthwave / like a bit of like cinematic sunrise, like end of a movie kind of moment.
Yeah, because there's a lot of like effects and I don't even know if it's synths necessarily, but probably is. And I think there's some like backwards guitar and stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of like recording techniques going into this. It's a lot of tech.
So like I guess they're called folk rock, but this is almost, I would be like indie, even though that doesn't necessarily mean much.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like chill, right?
Yeah, it's very like calm, a bit uplifting. It has that kind of like feeling with the
filtered.
arpeggios and stuff of rising.
Yeah. Okay, definitely synths, yeah. And you
Yeah.
get that. And so because kind of what they do is they replace a lot of what was in the original, picking, weaving between, and now you've got synthesizers all playing their thing with sort of, weaving together.
Yeah.
But they're like arpeggiated.
Yeah.
So you get the like dun 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 dun, and like the other
like
stuff.
big like
And like other stuff that's like kind of echoey and higher, playing like an arpeggio, but it all flows together because it's got this like long sustain on it.
Mm-hmm. And then their vocals are
And
like
guitars, too.
this sort of like very even. And
then flipping to a more intense version too.
yeah, they have that in there a bit later.
Yeah.
It's like it's interesting because it's the furthest we've come from like acoustic instruments.
Yeah, but it's also interesting because they sort of create a similar feel, or not. Like there's smoothness to it for sure, but like it's definitely inspired, right?
Yeah.
Because it's still like, oh, we have these instruments working together to create this soundscape.
And there's still like
interlocking kind of way.
Like the transition from verse to chorus is very smooth as well. Maybe due to a sort of like flattening of certain elements like the vocals.
Right.
But it does like it's not the worst version we're going to talk about today. There is some stuff that's a bit compelling to it. I don't think it's the best maybe translation of this folk tune, but I do think it's the boldest step we're going to see.
Yeah, I mean this feels more like he's relaying the story as the sun comes up.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. This is the taking your time,
Yeah, it's a slower
setting
version.
out running, and this is taking your time, kind of.
Yeah, this is taking your time. And you're right. It does feel like he's like either relaying it as in this quiet hour as the sun is rising, or it feels cinematic and like we're seeing a bunch of different events as the sun is rising.
True. And it's kind of just like reminiscing because it has a bit of that feel to it.
Yeah.
And we talked a bit about what it sounds like sonically. There's some other stuff. Like there's a lot of later on you get these really like bassy drums, heavy bassy drums that come in.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty basic beat, but like it's very filtered and kind of just spreads out over everything.
Yeah.
After the chorus, so that's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. Like even if these guys have moved away from pop folk, they couldn't escape pop.
I guess so.
Because a lot of this feels very like pop.
Right. The techniques are techniques like 2016 and it sounds like this. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Like we did that. But there's a lot of bass. Yeah, okay. Like it's not crazy out there in terms of that, as far as I know. As far as I can tell.
As far as I can tell, but like it works pretty well. They do a sort of breakdown at around like 220-ish, 225.
Yeah, that's part of the bridge section.
Yeah.
Because they have like you get like these really spacey effects, especially when it's like the lower moments and you can hear the like whoosh kind of stuff. Piano chords and those like synths that slide around. Let me see if I can get this. doing their thing, or just like a synth playing, like a drone, like a high drone. I think there's some backwards guitars here as well.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And then there's some like low strumming, and then
Yeah, you get sort of these
Synths doing various sounds.
auxiliary guitar parts mixed in a bit here.
Yeah. But it lasts a while. Like like 30-ish seconds.
Yeah, it's
maybe.
about 30 seconds dedicated to this breakdown section.
Yeah. And then after that, after like the 3-minute mark, it's kind of chill soundscapes.
Mm-hmm.
That's not true. That's not the right time frame. I can't remember.
Yeah, it might be a bit later because he does like another
Like 4
big
minutes.
it's like the last 30 seconds of this.
Yeah. And you kind of get that like filtered, distorted guitar.
Yeah, kind of coming through. It's almost a little choppy.
Yeah. So I thought this one was pretty cool. But I agree, the sound itself, maybe in a similar way to Cosmo Jarvis. I'm like, I know this sound, even though it's not something I necessarily listen to. I'm like, I lived for that.
Yeah, it's you live through it, so you know it. But these are the guys to do it. This was their big heyday. It was 2016.
Yeah, and like I'm down with the sound.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's a good bit of pop if you can't stomach psychedelic folk rock. I mean, yeah, I guess get the Mumford and Sons version in you. And this was part of a big project, a big collaboration called Day of the Dead, which is 59 covers Grateful Dead songs.
The
The War on Drugs is touch of gray. That I will have to check out. But yeah, interesting little project. Flaming Lips on here. You know, anytime people are doing covers, the Flaming Lips aren't far behind.
They'll throw one in.
They'll throw one in there.
On there.
Hell yeah. That's the people I like to see.
Neat. That all checks out.
That all checks out.
Sense. I'm like, these guys, yeah, I associate them in my mind.
What also makes sense is to end on a psych rock project by a Canadian guitarist. We're doing Doom's Children in 2021.
I set out running, but I'll take my time. A friend of the devil is a friend of mine.
Yeah, I thought the website for this was awkward because
Yes.
it like didn't mention his name.
Yeah, Wade McNeil.
Yes, I had to. Yeah, it required some, not a lot of research, but they were like mention how some of the band members, and also how it was formed by a co-founder of Alexis on Fire.
That's right.
But doesn't actually say who that is.
Yeah, it was confusing because there was a name on the page. It wasn't actually the name of the founder of this project, and so you had to like go to Alexis on Fire's page and like go through the different like individual band members' Wikipedia pages and be like, okay, who has Doom's Children listed on their page?
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's very weird.
Very
and like
weird.
Black Lungs that he also worked with.
He also worked with.
Yeah.
So this dude does a lot of work. He's also did like the soundtrack for a Call of Duty game, I think.
Really?
Yeah, there was some interesting credits on there. I forgot to write them all down because I was like, oh, I'll remember all this.
Yeah.
But
Partnered with Andrew Gordon McPherson to create the soundtrack to Far Cry 5's arcade.
that's what it is. There was a different artist we talked about. I think maybe a previous week.
Jay
who had done Call of
Baruchel.
Duty.
Oh my god.
Oh, shit.
Wow.
Because all Canadians know each other. Oh, yeah, he's credited as composer for Goon, Last of the Enforcers, which is the second Goon film, I think.
I do remember there being a movie called Goon.
Yeah, that much different context today.
Yeah. With, what's his name?
Sean William Scott.
That's the one.
That's the one, baby. We love to talk about Canada, don't we, folks?
We do.
So this version makes a lot of sense as a cover of the Grateful Dead in that it leans a lot on like heavy psych rock elements.
Yeah, it's a lot heavier.
Yes.
And like darker. They really go for the dark side of
Doom's
things.
Children.
It's that kind of, what's this sound? Dark picking. But
Yeah, this like almost
not like
Western style, like
fast
boom,
picking.
down,
Yes.
down, 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 down. It's
I guess
taking
it's the Western,
taking Old West but filtering it through like modern rock.
Yeah, and like distorted guitar.
Yeah, and buddy, I like that.
Yeah, it's cool sound. It's much simpler because they're not like playing the picking patterns.
Yeah,
It's also, I think, somewhat slowed down as well. I mean,
Yeah, I
this one's
believe
pretty
so.
Quick.
Yeah, because you're at a 5-minute, 10-second version, this one. And yeah, I think it's slowed down. And what we lose in like technical playing, like, finger picking, moving around, we gain with like literal tech. Like there's a lot of work that goes into the tone
and like
filters
atmosphere.
on this. Yeah.
They also, they do that sort of like low guitar riff right at the start. With also there's other, stuff, like there's strumming as well.
Yeah.
And like, wow.
Yeah, these like kind of like country guitar put through a synth filter of some kind.
Yeah, you get that like wow sound where you're like, I'm cranking the filter around sort of.
Yeah.
That's a filter sweep, my friend. And then this like really fuzzy guitar comes in.
Yeah.
And then the vocals are like gruff and like throaty and wet. Like
yeah, it is like it's the drifter through like an edgier lens, right? He's telling the story at a bar.
Yeah. With a drink in it, like he's drinking at the same time.
Yeah, he's
wet,
practicing his ventriloquism act.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's another group who sounded. We've heard vocals like this before.
For sure,
like,
we have.
I can't think of who that would have been.
I can't pin it to like an exact person.
Yeah.
There was that guy who did a cover of Roxanne a few weeks back. I think he was the actor. Yeah, Facundo Arana had kind of a similar quality. Maybe not as wet, but definitely that low, like growly vibe.
Yeah, he's definitely not as wet.
Yeah.
And he's gruff, but not as gravelly. He's got it though.
He's got a bit of it.
I see that.
It's not. We've had ones closer to this one, but that's the first one I
really
can think of.
Yeah, like pushing that low end and.
I'll take that time.
Yeah, can't do that.
No.
What? Other than that, yeah, it's got that really good atmosphere there. There's like similar things that other ones have done. Like there's harmonies on the title line. It's not the whole chorus, just on that "Friend of the Devil's Friend of Mine."
Yeah, the friend of the devil. His friend of mine.
And I guess in that way, they changed the melody like a bit, which a couple of them have done.
Yeah.
Langhorne Slim, I think, did that quite a bit. I think that's the one.
Yeah.
You were saying he like changes every.
Yeah, I believe so.
A little different every time.
Langhorne Slim.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get a bit of that here too, where it feels like he chews up lines a bit differently here and there.
So they go through it. They go through a bridge that adds like some, I'd say pretty twangy, like country electric guitar.
Yeah, you get like electric country on there. This song does have a lot of different like dynamics in the sections rather than maybe like individually on the original, where it's
all
like all at once. Yeah, it's like this section's different. This section's different. Here's a bridge with a new like electric country guitar on it. Boom. Now here we're gonna do a drum solo.
Yeah, well, they do a whole like breakdown drum thing, right?
Yeah, where he talks about spending his life in jail.
My life in jail. Gonna spend my life in jail. Yeah, just says that over and over again.
Yeah, which is its own like I was okay with that section. Maybe not the most compelling part for me, but it definitely adds his own flair on it.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about like unless they're trying to like be like he's stuck up in his own head kind of thing.
Yeah, they're trying to emphasize the like insomnia he's going through.
I'm gonna spend repeating that over and over again and unable to fall asleep. Makes sense.
So yeah, it's like narratively effective.
Yeah. And then there's a guitar solo. It's very sudden.
Mm-hmm.
Like it does a chorus, and this is like maybe 3:30 or so.
Yeah.
The chorus ends normally, and then very suddenly it picks up to a faster tempo, and then like a distorted guitar comes in.
That transition is a little like quick. You can hear the drum trying to lead you in there, but it like kind of gets over the end of that chorus.
Very sudden.
It's very sudden.
And then it gets very like harsh. There's lots of like interference.
Yeah.
And, like high frequencies. Possibly two guitars?
Possibly. This section, he's got real like crunch on that guitar that we're listening to. Drums are moving very quickly. There's a bit of like Black Magic Woman to this guitar solo.
I see that.
And so it feels very classic to me. And it feels like,
it's kind of an old school solo of like showing off.
Mm-hmm.
in some ways.
Yeah, well, and that bass
yeah.
there too really has like a tone to it. It's very quiet, but it gives off a bit of that Black Magic Woman as well.
Okay. Didn't notice that.
But yeah, it is him just like showing off. It is a little bit like maybe Grateful Dead inspired in that sense of like the live performances where it's like we're here to see a solo. Maybe even to hear the solo.
Maybe even to hear it.
I'll tell you what, when I go to a Dead show, I want to hear a solo. When I go to Star Wars, I want to see a solo. That's all I'm saying.
That's why I didn't see the last two.
That's right. After he was dead, I was like, no, I'm done.
The solo, and then they kind of slow it back down for the outro, right?
Yeah.
Do the finalize the chorus, and
yeah, hit it just kind of like a little country twang on the last note, and we're out.
Yeah. So that's that one in maybe a little more detail than I was expecting to describe it. But hey, there's a lot of stuff that happens.
It feels dense, this one.
So you got to talk about the sections.
You got to talk about it. I thought it was a very cool version. I wasn't expecting to like it that much. I usually don't like these kind of like grungy, like dirty projects. But this one worked for me.
Yeah. Nice. And Canadian.
That's right. We salute the Canadian band. But we got to get into our final verdicts here. We got 3 categories today. The worst version, the best version, and the devil's favorite version.
The devil's favorite version.
This is the devil's song. Alex, what's the worst version of this, and why is it Cosmo Jarvis?
Why is it Cosmo Jarvis? Because it's the only one that doesn't really have anything interesting going for it.
Yeah.
To me, anyway.
No, 100%. I agree.
Yeah, it's just this like kind of country pop thing.
Going through all. I mean,
other than like maybe if they had a little more jazz, right? Because like it starts with the like jazz drums, and you're like, oh, is this a jazz version? And it's not a jazz.
Yeah, and it's not. Yeah, if he had tried that, and maybe even tried like jazz country fusion or something, I don't know.
What does that sound like?
Tell me, Cosmo. Yeah, especially with a name like Cosmo Jarvis.
Yeah, I heard that and I was like, oh, of course he's a jazz musician, and then he's not a jazz musician.
Bit of a lost opportunity there. It's not the worst version. It's certainly passable.
It's fine, but it's the worst version today.
It's the worst version today. But Alex, let's flip this around. A little tougher category. What's the best version?
What's the best version? Best version. Yawn a little bit. What's the best version?
Wow.
It's a good question because there's a number of good ones.
Yeah.
Which one did I like the most? I think I'm gonna go with Doom's Children. I really liked that one. Yeah, had a good feel to it. Some strange sections, sure, but like it's kind of see what they were going for, and I liked it.
Yeah, I feel like its modern twist on like a folk song like jives really well. The way it takes elements of like Western, of blues, and then like modern like filters and pedals and shit, blends them all together. It doesn't get lost in the muck of itself like some versions will if you got too much of that heavy grunginess going on.
Mm-hmm.
Keeps a good pace. It's got some compelling vocals and some compelling sections. It's a great version. That said, I think for me, I've got to give it to Tom Petty.
Yeah.
It's
fair
rich.
Enough. He's got it, man.
He's got it. I just listen to it. I'm just a Tom Petty guy. I listened to this version. I was like, I got to listen to some Tom Petty this week. And just put on.
I should listen to some Tom Petty. I haven't in a while.
You got it. And
throw on Damn the Torpedoes or something.
Yeah. Fuck. I just straight up went top tracks on Tidal, and you're going to go a long time until you run into a dud there because, like, that's all good. But that's my pick for top.
It's all Full Moon Fever.
It's all Full Moon. Yeah, for a while it's Full Moon Fever. And then things start to get
and then it changes up. Okay, let's shuffle that.
Shuffle that. Yeah, you'll have a great time. But Alex, what's the devil's favorite version of this?
The devil's favorite version. Which one is the devil like?
Yeah, the devil's Come for Your Soul or a very good cover of Friend of the Devil. What are you giving them?
Oh, yeah. My soul, I want to listen.
Yeah, you're like, hey, man.
Oh, I'm still yawning. Oh, my gosh.
Come on, Alex.
My soul! Which one does the devil want? I don't know. He wants, do you have an answer to this?
I have an answer to this. It's your best. I'm going with Doom's Children.
Doom's Children?
I feel like Doom's probably a relative of the devil, so he feels a little bit of a familial connection there, too.
Yeah. It's like his nephews.
Yeah, his nephews. He's like, oh, yeah, guys. I'll come listen to you play Friend of the Devil. Okay.
If you insist.
Yeah, it's good satanic noises on that, I think.
Okay.
I think you play that at a church, they'd be scared. So like the devil's into that.
Yeah. I guess for a similar reason, I'm going to say Mumford and Sons because he wants the children. I don't know.
There you go. Yeah, he's tapping into because that's going to be the most poppy and like the most recent in terms of like reach.
Yeah, but the sons. He wants the sons.
He's big on getting sons.
He wants Mumford's sons because you have to promise your children to the. Yeah, that's tenuous, but I'm sticking with it.
Hey, man, who can know the inner machinations of the devil? Certainly not us.
No.
But if you, the listener, claim to know, you can hit us up on the app formerly known as Twitter, #CoverMePod, @SnakeyMe, @SomeAlexWiseGuy. Send us your comments, questions, concerns, suggestions for future episodes. Tell us if you've ever been a deadhead. Tell us if you've ever seen a deadhead sticker on a Cadillac. Tell us how that made you feel.
Oh, man.
We're on all the apps. We're on Podbean. Catcher is just the general term for services that catch podcasts. We're on Pocket Casts. We're on YouTube Music, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts. We're even on Spotify. Tell your friends, family, neighbors, and loved ones about us. What you can do this week to really get the word out there is travel from town to town, doing telling people about Cover Me tour. You can probably book community centers and just any random street corner, as long as you maybe have a busking license. Let's get it out that way. Set up a little booth. Let me tell you about, get some pamphlets printed out, spread the word of the Lord. But in this case, the Lord is covering me. Get it out there, folk. It's me, bro.
I am the Lord.
I am the Lord. That does it, though, for today's episode of Cover Me. And as we always say on Cover Me, got 2 reasons why I cry away each lonely night. The first one's named Sweet Cover Me, and it's my heart's delight.